Hello everybody, I hope you are having a wonderful day. Today is Friday, for me at least, and pretty good day today. I want to share with you guys my final thoughts with the Gavko knives Nurse. This thing is pretty freaking sweet. I got this guy a couple weeks ago off Kaviso Outdoors, or previously known as Drop or Mass Drop. Some of you may know them. Of purchasing from them. Sell a bunch of cool stuff, and they get a lot of pretty cool exclusives, which is nice. So pricing on this, currently there is a sale going on because this is old stock and they're trying to get rid of it. It still has the D pivot logo on the clip side. I don't know if they're planning to rebrand, like, get more stock of this, produced and manufactured with a new, pivot with, the K or the little symbol that they got going on. It kind of looks like a weird Walmart logo, honestly, if you go to their website. I will put a link in the description so you can go check these guys out after the video, or, if you love how this knife looks, immediately go purchase it because it's pretty freaking sweet. Right now, you can pick this knife up for $168. That is a steal, in my opinion. Original price was $210, and when I saw this knife maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, I absolutely loved it, but could not afford it. Now things are a little bit better, more stable financially speaking, and even my wonderful fiance helped me to purchase it because I'm currently saving up for other stuff going on. So that's a difference in savings of $42, which is honestly, that's almost 2 budget knives, if anything. Couple different colors available, but this specific one is the Ocean and Stonewash. That includes the hardware and pivot, the blade, of course. There are only 8 left of this exact same colorway. There are 3 other colorways. There's a purple one with the same Stonewash configuration. That one, it seems like there's plenty in stock because it still says in stock, ready to ship. The blacked out one still says in stock, ready to ship. And the teal aqua colored one with a satin blade and kind of polishy looking, pretty standard looking hardware. That one says low stock and it's 19 left. So this is, what's currently available off of their website. Let's get into specs here. This website is definitely structured a whole lot different than what I'm used to with Blade HQ, my #1 online retailer. So let's get into it. So blade shape, it's like a sheep's foot kind of thing going on. Doesn't really have a whole lot of belly, but maybe just a little bit. It's almost unnoticeable, but it's a great utility blade shape. I love it. S35VN blade material, if I didn't already say that. Can't remember anything from 2 minutes ago. Here they actually have the blade thickness behind the edge. I don't have calipers. I plan to get some eventually when I remember. But blade thickness taken from the spine is 3.2 millimeters, and then at the apex right behind the edge, it's 0.5. Handle length is 3.9. Handle width is 1/2 inch. Overall length is 6.8. Blade length is 2.9. So it falls underneath that 3-inch legal limit for some states. So this is going to be a knife that's available to a very wide public, which is awesome. And then overall weight is 3.7 ounces, or converted that to 105 grams. So that's really all the information that I really look at when I go shopping for a knife online. These are also things for newbies, any newbies that are getting into the knife hobby and all that. Those are the things you want to look up. Blade material, like, it's not a huge deal of where it's coming from, in my opinion. But yeah, this is made overseas. To my knowledge, it's manufactured by We Knife Co., which produces amazing quality knives. It's starting to go up a little bit in price, but in my opinion, I think they're also going up in quality too, which is nice. You know, you always want that. Let's break out a couple size comparison knives. Just 5 knives that are quite loved in my collection and are very common within the knife collecting hobby. So this is the Spyderco Para 3, practically the same dimensions, just different style, of course. Saviti Elementum, is that guy? Elementum has a little bit of length on it versus the Nurse. Benchmade bug out. Yeah, even the bug out has significantly more, just I guess, size overall, really. Definitely the Benchmade Alpha 940 is going to be a whole lot bigger than it. There's that. Last but not least, the Demko Knives 8020.5. So, per usual, a whole lot more handle than blade, but interesting to note is that the cutting edge is practically the same, which I love the cutting edge on this, or the length of it, and I fell in love with this thing too, you know, the first couple times that I took it to work. This thing is freaking sweet. It really is. The build quality overall, it's amazing. I love it. It's great. I thought it was impressively smooth when I unboxed it. No, it got a whole lot smoother, and it's freaking sweet. I even messed around with the frame lock bar tension. I took out the steel insert and over travel stop, and I pushed it out to lighten it to see if maybe it's something that I would like. I didn't. So I pushed it inwards to make it even stronger, and for me, that's where it's at. And even being technically tighter, it's still pretty smooth, at least to my standards it is. So it's so clicky, so solid. This feels like a chunky piece of freaking tool. It's great. It feels awesome in the hands. There is this little finger area right here, obviously for your index. And then my other two rest here, and then my pinky kind of rests at that little point right there. It's an extremely comfortable knife, in my opinion. You can't really get up there by any means, but for me, I have large to extra large. I've learned at this point, trying on different like glove sizes, but my fingers are still rather slim. So that's my situation going on. There's that. So if you have, you know, similar-ish size hands, that's, you know, how it's gonna kind of look like for the most part. The centering on this is perfect, pretty much perfect. The lockup is also perfect, which is great. I don't expect anything less at this price point. There is a ceramic detent ball and ceramic caged bearings, also to be expected at this price point. This finish that's on the blade, it does catch a hold of some material. Like, I've used this for making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and then I've used this to cut carbon fiber and Kevlar at my local community college course that I'm taking. You know, I've used these things for a bunch of different things. Of course, I clean it between use and things like that. I like to keep my knives extremely clean and well maintained because, you know, I like to take care of things that are expensive. What else to talk about? Hardware. The pivot is a T8, and everything else, the screws, this little post back here, and the lock bar / over travel stop insert screw is also a T6. The screws are steel, or a type of steel. They're not titanium, which I guess would have been cool, but I don't really think would have made much of a quality difference. The tooling is machined rather well. When I was taking apart this knife, there was very minimal Loctite, and I personally prefer that because I love taking apart my knives. I like servicing them. I like seeing what makes them tick and how they're put together. And you know, just because something looks nice from the outside, like you can see like all the little holes, they have their own specific chamfer, and everything is nice and smooth. It has these little gill design, doesn't really add any traction or anything. This is extremely slick Rick knife. There's no grip to it, so I wouldn't recommend it if you have sweaty hands. I have slipped out a couple times when I was still getting used to it. Thank God I didn't drop it, because yeah, I would not have, you know, I don't want to drop this thing. I don't. I've scuffed it up a little bit on the pocket clip, but hey, you know, that's gonna happen when you use a knife. It is a tool after all. Really, the only enthusiast elements that we got going on here is the color, the little gills, the holes, the fact that it's full titanium. You know, there could be a much more budget-oriented version of something like this, but this is just an amazing knife, really. As I mentioned before, I would, now experiencing it, now having it at a point where it's fully broken in and tuned to what I enjoy it to be, I would not have minded paying the 210 that it was originally. And I don't think you guys should shy away from it either. There's very few left in stock if you like how this looks. And it's sweet. There's really nothing bad to say about it. Maybe, okay, I got two little nitpicks, but really not that big of a deal, right? So I like the drop logo, but it's on the clip side. I kind of wish it was on the show side. That's just me. The flipper tab, while extremely effective, it has no jimps, and at first it was a little uncomfortable, but when you get used to it, it's extremely effective. And of course, I love middle finger flicking it, and you can thumb flick it, you just have to hold it. You can't put any tension with your fingers on the lock bar, of course, so you kind of have to grip it on the clip. The clip is almost more than half of the actual handle length, but I guess it helps when you want to thumb flick it. You know, rest your fingers on there, and you get a little bit lower down, and you know, snaps out quite well. Even still, I love to, you know, flip it out, middle finger or the actual flipper tab. But I did want to mention, it was just an idea that I had. This is a budget knife. It's D2, G10, and stainless steel hardware and liners and all that, right? Sativian 119 is a model of this wonderful knife. And what's even more awesome about it is that it too has, you know, flipper and, you know, blade slot configuration going on for fidgetability. But see how this is angled down? This is an extremely comfortable. This is probably one of my most comfortable flipper tabs that's within my collection, right? And I've handed this to, when I went to class, I let a couple of my classmates test it out, and they seemed to like it, which was, you know, it was cool. But you know, even people at work, I've handed to them, they're like, oh, it does kind of feel a little weird. I would definitely think that something a little bit more angled downward would probably be a lot more comfortable. That's not really something that I could modify, but you know, it is what it is. You know, I got used to it. I love it. Nothing really wrong with it. I even thought for a second, what if I did a flipper tab delete? You know, just imagine that not being there, and don't mind my nail with freaking like resin and stuff underneath from school. But just look at that. I think that'd be pretty sweet. Of course, at that point you lose, you know, one method of, you know, deployment, but that's all right. There are plenty of amazing knives that just have a slot, you know, and they're quite easy to open up, like this guy. The Artisan Knives Arian. You know, it's literally just a hole, that's it. But yeah, that's it. That's really all I have to say about this thing. I hope I didn't miss anything. Titanium is beautiful. You know, maybe it could have been a little bit textured with like orange peel ply or maybe some like micro milling. That'd be pretty sweet. It is contoured heavily, and even then, it's still extremely comfortable. I love using this thing. Love taking it to work, using it for everything. Yeah, it's just great. Just beautifully smooth. I love the sound even, you know, nice and clicky. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a wonderful weekend.